We've already seen that Elliot Anderson has become the most expensive British player ever. Enzo Maresca closing in on a second signing as Manchester City boss. What can you tell us?
Yeah, this one's interesting. You'll know the name, Leicester City's Jeremy Monga. 16 years old. It's understood that Manchester City are close to a... Luckily, he turned 17 in 5 days' time on July the 10th. Now, it should be noted here, Arsenal also held talks over the signing of Monga, and we reported that the player was keen to join Arsenal once they made their interest clear. But it's understood that Arsenal were not prepared to meet that valuation that Leicester City had set and then withdrew their interest. He's actually the third youngest Premier League player ever. This should be a quiz question. Can you name the other two?
No, I can't.
Number 2, Max Dowman.
OK, of course.
Of Arsenal, and another Arsenal player at number 1, who is Ethan Nwaneri. He's made 37 first-team appearances now for Leicester's Monga.
I'm good, thank you.
It's your first transfer since you've joined Manchester City as an 8-year-old. It's a big moment for you and your family. Can you tell us more about it? How was it and how was the whole experience?
Yeah, it's a big day for me. You know, I've been at City my whole life, so yeah, getting out of having a new environment to be in, so it's good for me. I've always wanted to be a footballer since young. I've always had a footballer around me, so and yeah, having him going to his games and everything, yeah, just made me want to do it more.
What are you preparing for? You've played some or many games in the Premier League too. What are you preparing for as you make the switch from Premier League 2 to the Bundesliga?
It's going to be a lot harder, but I think I'm ready for that challenge, the next step in my career, so yeah, I'm ready.
How would
Elliot Anderson, he's the headline name, really, isn't he? The formalities still need to be completed on that deal, but it's pretty much all done and dusted, isn't it? £115 million, so the most ever paid for a British player. But that's part of an £824 million spend in the past 3 years from Man City. I mean, they're huge numbers. Only Chelsea have spent more in that time. They're up at £1 billion. I guess that sort of reflects this huge change and transition and transformation that's gone on in this squad over recent seasons. How much of that has been with the next man in to follow Guardiola in mind? How much of this was part of the master plan that they'd sign these certain players, seemingly bring the age of the squad down as well, and then have Maresca come in and use those players?
Well, I think they would have done that whether Pep was staying or not. I think that's right to say, because obviously, you know, the likes of Bernardo Silva and John Stones leaving, these are hugely experienced players. They've, you know, been there for every one of Pep's 20 trophies, if we're giving him 20. And they are key leaders in the dressing room, right? So they're two of the players that this whole foundation had been built on. But obviously, as we know in football, it goes in cycles. Pep has reinvented this team a couple of times in his 10 years. And now, naturally, we're at the point where it needed reinventing again.
Ben, good to see you. How close is this deal to completion then?
Well, the fact that that fee has been agreed tells you this deal is very close to completion. Obviously, Nottingham Forest wanting to play hardball. They were after a record transfer fee for one of their absolute standout players, and they've got it, and it's nice to go old school. No add-ons to worry about here. It's a £116 million flat fee. That's what we understand for a player who has been fantastic for Forest over the last season or so in the Premier League, and obviously with England at the World Cup as well, showing how much he's developed since that move from Newcastle, and someone that Manchester City have had their eye on for a long time. So you can understand why they have committed such a hefty fee. Having been initially rebuffed, they've come in with a higher offer. And when you look at the sorts of players and transfers that it's in the same region as, this is how much they value Elliot Anderson as an integral signing for the new Enzo Maresca era. It will put him, in terms of British players moving clubs, at the very top. £116 million. It's more than Real Madrid will have had to pay for Jude Bellingham, assuming they meet all of his potential add-ons. That was a deal capped at £115 million, more than the £105 million that Declan Rice cost Arsenal, for example, as well. And we've seen how he has transformed their fortunes. So in terms of the British players, it's right up there. And in terms of Manchester City, understandably, breaks their transfer record as well. It'll go £16 million above the £1 100 million that they paid Aston Villa for Jack Grealish. So from a City perspective, from an Enzo Maresca perspective, they clearly have identified Elliot Anderson as a key potential cog in putting them back amongst the title challenge again for the years coming in the post-Pep era.
Yeah, and in terms of that post-Pep era and Enzo Maresca close to being named the new City boss, would he be expected to fit into Maresca's expected system?
Elliot Anderson would 100% fit into Maresca's system. He would have fitted into Pep's system. He'd fit into pretty much any manager's system because he's so versatile. He can play as a single pivot, as we've seen at the World Cup. He can play alongside someone like Declan Rice. He is someone who can break the lines. He's someone that can press. He's someone that can win duels. He is an all-action midfielder. He can even score goals, as we saw against City last season for Forest. So I think that versatility makes him a really important signing for City, particularly when you consider Bernardo Silva's exit this summer, someone who, while he was signed as a winger all those years ago, has played right across the field, even at fullback for City and for Pep Guardiola. But more recently has been really important in the centre of that midfield alongside Rodri, just taking some of the pressure off him. Now, of course, look, there's still some speculation about Rodri's future. He said he'll sort it after Spain's appearance at the World Cup. Got 1 year left on his contract as they go into that final year this season. No guarantee he's going to sign an extension at this point, but Elliot Anderson is clearly a player that can play alongside Rodri. He can play in place of Rodri. He's that talented, and he's someone that I'm sure City fans will be very excited about reinvigorating that midfield, because when you look at some of the other players in that position, they haven't quite proved in terms of performances that ability to either replace Rodri or necessarily be the player that they see as a long-term heir. Whereas Anderson, he's got a lot of his footballing future ahead of him, and his stats have proved just how good he is in a number of roles in the middle of the pitch.
Elliot Anderson has become the third most expensive signing in Premier League history after Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz. Or has he? Where does Anderson really rank when adjusting historic transfer fees to the purchasing power of clubs today? Most comparisons of this type adjust historic prices according to inflation, but the changing price of a pint of milk in the supermarket doesn't reflect the 3,500% increase in Premier League revenues, which has transformed the spending capacity of clubs in the transfer market. So, in order to more accurately show what past transfers would be worth today, factoring those revenue increases, football finance expert Kieran Maguire and Professor Jason Laws have created a new index which throws up some fascinating results. The Laws-Maguire Index has Anderson as only the 31st most expensive player in Premier League history at £116 million. So which players top the list? In fifth, it's Fernando Torres, whose £50 million move from Liverpool to Chelsea in 2011 is calculated as being worth £158 million today. In fourth, it's another former Liverpool player in Stan Collymore, whose £9 million transfer from Nottingham Forest in 1995 adjusts to an eye-watering £177 million today. Third is Juan Sebastian Veron, whose ill-fated £28 million transfer from Lazio to Manchester United in 2001 adjusts to £179 million. In second, it's another Manchester United signing made only 2 years after Veron in 2003. Rio Ferdinand's £33 million move from Leeds adjusts to £199 million. And finally, top of the list is record goalscorer Alan Shearer. The £15 million fee paid by Newcastle to sign him from Blackburn Rovers sounds modest by today's standards, but it came when football revenues were a fraction of today's, and it adjusts to a staggering £237 million, making him more than twice as expensive as Anderson.
Manchester City have made 3 major moves that could shape the club's future. One player has left after more than a decade in the academy. Another exciting teenager has arrived on a long-term deal. First, the confirmed departure. Reigan Heskey has joined Bundesliga side FC Köln on a permanent transfer, subject to international clearance. The 18-year-old had been with Manchester City for 11 years, having joined the academy at under-9 level. He progressed through every age group and eventually earned his senior debut in the Carabao Cup victory over Huddersfield Town. Leaving is a huge decision, but it gives him a clearer route towards regular first-team football. Heskey's academy numbers show why Köln were interested. During the 2024-25 campaign, he produced 36 goal involvements in 41 appearances for the under-18s. The following season, after stepping up to the elite development squad, he registered 13 goals and 16 assists in 41 matches. He also scored the late winner against Manchester United in the FA Youth Cup final. This is a talented academy graduate choosing the next stage of his career. From City's point of view, the move highlights how difficult the pathway can be. The first team squad is packed with elite players, and even outstanding academy prospects cannot all be guaranteed minutes. A permanent move to the Bundesliga may give Heskey the platform to develop, play senior football and prove himself at a high level. Fans may understand the move. Now to the new signing. Manchester City have completed the arrival of Jeremy Monga from Leicester City. The winger signed a 5-year contract running until the summer of 2031, and he joined just after turning 17. Monga is regarded as one of the most exciting young attackers in English football, with pace, direct dribbling, strength and confidence in 1-versus-1 situations. His rise at Leicester was extremely fast. He played for their under-21 side at only 15 and became the youngest goalscorer in Premier League, 2 at the age of 15 years, 3 months and 22 days. He later made his Premier League debut as a substitute against Newcastle United in April 2025. City are signing a player who already understands senior football despite still being at the beginning of his development. The key question is, what happens next? City do not need to rush Monga. He could spend time with the academy, train around the senior squad, or be introduced gradually when the coaching staff believe he is ready. The investment is about long-term potential, not expecting him to transform the first team immediately. His profile is exciting because City value wide players who can beat defenders, create chances, and attack space. And then we come to the biggest story, Elliot Anderson. Manchester City and Nottingham Forest have reached an agreement for the transfer of the 23-year-old midfielder. Anderson has completed a medical in Kansas while representing England at the World Cup, with the remaining formalities expected to be finalised when he returns to England. This deal could be very important. Anderson offers energy, ball-carrying ability, defensive work and composure in possession. He can contribute in several midfield roles, giving the manager greater flexibility. City rely on technically secure players who can receive the ball under pressure, move it quickly, and understand positional demands. Anderson's Premier League experience should help him adapt quickly. There is another reason supporters should be excited. At 23, Anderson is young enough to improve significantly, but experienced enough to compete for minutes straight away. This is the type of signing that can strengthen the present while protecting the future. The midfield must evolve over time, and his intensity could add a fresh dimension. Taken together, these 3 moves show a clear strategy. Heskey leaves in search of a stronger first-team pathway. Monga arrives as a high-upside academy investment. Anderson is being brought in as a player capable of influencing the senior squad. 1 departure, 1 project for the future, and 1 major addition for the present. Supporters should separate confirmed information from rumours. Heskey's permanent move and Monga's signing have been officially announced, while City have confirmed an agreement with Nottingham Forest for Anderson. Until every final formality is completed, it is sensible not to describe Anderson as fully unveiled, but the agreement itself is real and public. So, what do you think? Is Anderson the midfielder City need? Can Monga become a future first-team star? And have City made a mistake by allowing Heskey to leave permanently? Share your opinion in the comments, subscribe to Manchester All Time, and turn on notifications for more Manchester City transfer news, match reaction and daily updates. Thanks for watching, City fans.